Welcome back to the Inner Alchemist TV. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look into Nell Fletcher from Love and Marriage Huntsville. So before we get started, please like this video. Also, make sure that you guys are subscribed to this channel and that you have your notification bells on. So I have my spread pulled. I have all of my cards on the table. And I'm going to go ahead and jump right into this reading. So the overall energy for this reading is the Ten of Pentacles. And right off the bat, I felt immediately that this reading was about property, about family, about legacy, about inheritances. So that's what I'm showing. Immediately I saw that Devil card right in the center. And I saw that Nine of Pentacles in reverse, which can usually represent like property theft. And whenever I'm reading Love and Marriage Huntsville and I see that Devil card, I always think Martell. Not because Martell is a devil, but because it represents Capricorn. And I've just always read it that way when we do these readings. And so I said to myself, did Martell steal Nell's mama's house? Where did that even come from? I don't even know any of the backstory about Nell's mother or if there was property involved, but that's literally the first thing that came to my mind out of nowhere. So I don't know if that's going to play out as I start to narrate these readings, because once I start talking, once I get warmed up, the spirit be taking over and I'll be having to watch the shit back just like you guys. I don't know what I be saying. Okay. But anyways, that's the first thing that jumped into my intuition. So the Ten of Pentacles, to me, works perfectly with that intuition, because it is about property being at stake, property that came down from inheritances or from your family. And like I said, I don't know if her mother left her or something, but this is like something to me that's coming out of an estate or came out of a will or something like that from some elderly parent or something. So that's the overall energy for this spread. Like I said, I don't know where I got the idea that Martell has something to do with it, but I strongly think that it has to do with the Devil card, only because that's how I've always read it for this group of people. So the opener for the reading, though, is the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, and that's where I got the idea about the property theft, because that's what the Nine of Pentacles in reverse can mean when it comes to tarot. But it's also about a breach of a contract, and that contract maybe being over something with real estate, especially with the Justice card in the crowning energy clarified by the Ace of Wands. Somebody might be thinking about suing somebody, but the Ace of Wands is in reverse, as is the Ace of Swords in reverse later on in the spread. And those cards, when they're reversed, they always kind of caution, don't do it, it's too soon, you need more information. But this may be her thinking like, suing somebody is the only way I'm going to get to the bottom of shit. I feel like with this Nine of Pentacles, there's a sense of Nell feeling like the walls are closing in on her and people are taking advantage of her. Although she still has maybe a little bit of money left, maybe some old money left, I still feel like there's a problem with bills piling up on her. Maybe taking care of too many people, and her just feeling like, everything is not the way that she would want it to be. And honestly, I really think that this is because people see her, at least in her life, as easy to get over. Now, I do see the Queen of Swords there. The Queen of Swords, she's astute. She's on top of her game. It's not easy for her to have the wool pulled over her head, but sometimes she can wait until the bottom falls out before she chooses to address things. And then she wants to demand that people tell the truth. Then she wants to get nasty and cutthroat with it. But all along, it's because the way that she comes to that harsh attitude is because she's been letting people get away with shit like all along. You know what I mean? So I feel like in a way there's a part of Nell that is a pushover or has been a pushover, and people have, like I said, taken advantage of that, and now she's turned kind of like cold or ice cold, or people are looking at her like, oh, you just know nonsense, you just say whatever you want to say at your mouth. And in her mind, she's like, well, I'm just getting to the bottom of it, because every time she gives people, like how they say, you give them an inch and they take a mile. That's been her experience with her family members or the people around her. So right now she feels like I'm not yielding. And if that means that I have to cut the bond or cut the contract or cut the lease or kick you out or whatever the situation may be, that's just what it's going to be. Period, point blank. I show that now in her motherhood role. She's coming across as like being like criticizing towards her kids. And again, I feel like people are not really liking this kind of, I don't want to say it's a new energy that she's in, but a kind of new energy that she's in. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting from it. I don't know. I feel like also there's a desire for her to get away from everybody in her family. Most definitely. I feel like she wants to get away. But again, I feel like there's like some type of like internal war or something. Now she's having a lot of stress mentally, and it's weighing on her physical health as well. Somebody is lying to her about a contract, and I believe that contract has to do with real estate, just based on this 10 of Pentacles and the Justice card and the 9 of Pentacles in reverse. Somebody's taking something from her, or she got into an agreement, like I said, some type of contract where everything wasn't on the table. But with this Page of Pentacles over here, this to me is looking like you should have read the contract, or maybe you're not as well read as you could be. And some people are like that. Some people just like to work, they like to make the money, or they have things handed down to them, but they're not adept or astute when it comes to the fine print. And this is saying that whatever you got into, you should have read the fine print on. Like I said, if you decided to lease your mother's property, or you decided to do something where somebody takes out a mortgage, you know how they had that real estate fraud back in the day? I don't even know if it was a fraud, but they used to do it a lot here in California, where they would have somebody like an old person be living in a house, and then they would have her quick deed or deed over the house to somebody else who would take a mortgage on it, but then that person, the old person, would still be living in the house, but the other people would be like getting money out of the house. And so I feel like that may be something that may be going on. But again, I feel like this is with a property that was handed down to her. You know what I mean? That's exactly what it seems like. And it seems like the way it was positioned to her was not the way that it all panned out to be. And so she feels like in her mind, somebody got over on her, or the wool kind of got pulled over her head, etc. You know what I mean? Or like I said, it could just be a breach of contract. It could be somebody having had agreed to one thing and then turned around and did something else. But in any event, this 9 of Pentacles shows me that she's the one who got the short end of the stick when it comes to whatever the deal was. And again, I think it has to do with some property or some real estate that she inherited. Now, the 10 of Swords is here in the unconscious energy. This is about her feeling like, you know what, I'm reaching my breaking point. I'm about to lose my mind. You know, like this shit is beyond personal to her, because it's causing a lot of financial upsets and ruins. And she put her faith in someone or something. Like I said, I heavily believe that it's Martell. I really do, because the Devil card is right here front and center. I didn't even read that Devil card. The Devil card was clarifying that goddamn 9 of Pentacles, which is a huge deal, because when the devil is clarifying something, especially where there's like betrayal, or that means that the person is angry about that shit. You know what I mean? The devil card can represent a high degree of anger, but it also represents kind of like a regret in dealing with somebody, or a regret in even giving somebody a chance or a leg to stand on when it came to that. And I feel like, maybe there was like some evil intention when it came to whatever happened with this property deal. I feel like maybe she may have been like, trying to do something nice, or like I said, not reading that fine print. And maybe even her own husband was involved in helping to pull that wool over her head, because the devil is about deceit. Right? And this could be about somebody, like I said, intentionally trying to pull the wool over your head so that you don't recognize or know what's going on while they're claiming to handle the business for you. But again, you should have your hand in all those pots. I definitely feel with this justice card up here in the crowning energy, there's going to be a lawsuit. Whether it's her facing a judgment or her having to make the decision, like I said, to sue somebody, somebody's going to pay for this shit. That's off the top. But that Ace of Wands right there is clearly telling me that whatever vengeance that you want over the situation, or however you need that to play out, you got to wait a second. You got to wait a second, because you don't have all of the information, and you don't want to pull that trigger too soon, because sometimes you only have one chance to make your case. And if it comes off like you are half baked about the shit, then you could lose just on that alone. And she may need to get to the bottom of how she got played and who was involved in that. Now, the World card is here in reverse in the recent past. Like I said, this could also represent her bailing on a contract, or her bailing on an agreement, maybe to sell a property or to deed over a property and have people benefit from that. Because the 9 of Coins is a breach of a contract, and so is the World card in its own way. Now, that 10 of Swords, that's, like I said, that's a betrayal. But that betrayal is almost like you being victimized. But again, you got to remember, the guy on the ground in the 10 of Swords has his finger crossed. And that means that you're not all the way clean. You're not. Now, do I believe that you may have put your cards in somebody else's basket? Yeah. And do I believe they betrayed you? I do. But that betrayal may have come from them being more of a fuck up than anything. And like I said, I can't take Chris off the table, because that Ace of Wands is there next to that Justice card. And even though it says don't do it in terms of like filing a lawsuit or moving forward in that way, it can also represent a husband. In this case, the husband would be impotent and no longer getting it up. Yeah. But again, I have to look at that Ace of Wands. I have to look at that in a male polarity or a male energy, and it's a male sexual energy. And because she's married, I would have to take that as her husband. Then you have the 3 of Cups down here. This is people who may be celebrated over having gotten over on you. The 3 of Cups being clarified by that 10 of Swords. Whatever the agreement was, at some point, people were happy with that. Now I feel like, okay, you're stuck. You hit the bottom now, but it's a result of you being backstabbed. And again, I think the backstabbing has to do with that property. I just can't not see it that way. So yeah, it's about, yeah, you they got you. They got you. You trusted somebody, they backstabbed you. And again, like I said, did Martell take your mama's house? Or something like that? Or did you get into a contract with somebody that cost you your mama house, or something that you inherited because you failed to read the fine print with that Page of Pentacles over there? Now, I feel like with the Ace of Wands, I feel like this kind of echoes the 9 of Pentacles in reverse, and saying that I want to get away from all this shit. Like, I need to change. Like, I just need everybody away from me. But at the same time, you're at the beginning of understanding the situation. This shit may have just kind of happened. Right now, you're feeling frustrated. Like I said, you don't have all the facts. You feel like something criminal has happened to you. But again, you're in the very early stages of figuring out, wait, did this just happen? Did they actually do this for me? And I showed that with that 10 of Cups, even Nell at some point was like prestigious, or had some type of like social reputation of having things, having money, and that Ten of Swords can sometimes represent like a fall from grace, or like a, not rags to riches, but riches to rags. Not even I don't even want to say a Cinderella story, but it's giving me very much the energy of you turning into a pumpkin at midnight. Is it midnight now? What happened? But I think that this is as a result of people taking advantage of her, and maybe that took her from the riches to the rags. Maybe there was some naivete, like I said, when it came to running business, reading fine print. Somebody was moving faster than her. This could even be about the show with the Ace of Wands. Wands is fire energy. That represents that drama, the drama that you see on TV and theater. So it could be a contract, very well be a contract about the show. Whatever it is, she got the short end of the sticks, and she feels very let down by a group of people that she trusted, at least 3, like I said, with that 3 of Cups. And those 3 women, those 3 of Cups could be 3 women, could be her other castmates or so forth. I'm also showing that Nell may be having some migraines or some other health issues, but they're all stress related. Whatever it is that she's feeling in the way of tension, ulcers, digestive issues, it could be stuff like that. All of that is as a result of stress. That's why we call it, well, in my business, the Inner Alchemist, we call it psychosomatic illnesses. And it's illnesses that are brought on by pressures of the mind. Because you ain't able to, get things ironed out for yourself. I feel like maybe with this Ace of Swords coming in the recent future, and then we have that 4 of Wands there, this is a judgment over the house, and maybe this judgment might go against you. It may go against you because it's like you're trying to sue over something that you put your ink stamp on and that you agreed to, but you agreed to it because you didn't read the contract. You know what I mean? And so in that case, you would be losing the case or whatever that is. And I think that's why that Ace of Wands is there saying, hold off, get all the facts together, because you may not win approaching it based on something that you signed, but maybe there's another loophole or avenue that you can get your get back on. But the whole situation was kind of humbling for her. Because with that Queen of Swords energy, she's used to cutting to the meat of the matter, seeing straight through people. Maybe being cold, maybe being unyielding, and then you have somebody that you have a soft spot for, and then they the one that sticked it to you. Whereas you ran a hard line with maybe all the other people that would not have done you so dirty. And in that way, you would be receiving a humbling. Again, what do I always say? You might not reap where you sow, but you always reap what you sow. And it's not to say that there's any karma or negative consequences for being, an ice queen or being cold to people. But again, you're supposed to treat them all the same. No respects to person. So when you have no issue treating somebody in a cold, meticulous, rude manner, but then somebody else you have putty for, you're going to get karma for that, because you're paying respects to persons. You're going by who you like, what you feel comfortable towards or endeared towards. It's still a sin no matter which way you want to cut it. So yeah, there's some hostile energy on here, and I think that hostility is, like I said, a backlash from what you've done in another situation, for sure. I feel like Nell is cutting people off, but her cutting people off, like she's using her words, she's kind of like cussing people out with the Queen of Swords and the Ace of Swords in reverse, and like I said, cutting people off, but again, she's almost putting that anger in the wrong place. Like, run up on the people who actually did this to you, not the people who you feel like are an easy target. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that she's a bully per se, but again, she tends to have a soft spot for some people and unable to stand up for herself in that realm, and then other people get the brunt of that. That 4 of Swords is there, like I said. I believe that this is also another card of property. 9 of Pentacles, property. 4 of Wands, property. 10 of Pentacles, property. This is about property, stolen property that she inherited. Now that page of coins is there. I talked about that earlier in terms of her not reading the contract. But guess what? We also have the Eight of Swords here. This represents jail. Who went to jail? Is this contract about bail or bail bonding? Now, with the Eight of Swords being clarified by the Page of Pentacles, this could be a child that went to jail. But more so, I feel like maybe one of her kids is in a bind, or, waiting for her to bail them out or rescue them or something like that. I'm getting a sense of a bailout with this Eight of Swords. I feel like this is something they may be trying to keep out of the public. It could have something to do with addictions with this with this Devil card and this Eight of Swords. Maybe somebody is having, like issues with addiction, and it's causing them to have to repeatedly go to jail, but it's like as a result of self-sabotaging. And I believe this could be the Page of Pentacles. I know it's a brown-skinned child, but I can't remember. It could be a boy or a girl. Doesn't matter. It could be something like that as well. But the Eight of Swords is also about you feeling stuck in a situation. And again, I feel like with this Ace of Wands in reverse and this Nine of Pentacles in reverse, I feel like she wants to maybe abandon her family, like ghost everybody, like block them, change the number, like she's tired of dealing with them all together. Because it's just a heavy sense of everybody around her taking advantage of her, and her starting to feel hopeless about dealing with these people. Now, on the flip side, the Eight of Swords, especially in this deck in particular, can represent a woman. I don't see any other what do I call it, like coinciding cards that show me that this Eight of Swords is pertaining to a woman. I feel like it's more so her feeling like she's bound to her family, or she's trapped in a situation that she can't get out of. Like she's kind of bred the type of family members that are like a yoke to her. You know what I mean? And her longing for and desiring some type of reprieve from them, these family members that she can't find or that she can't get to. You know what I mean? But again, like I said, it's as a result of you having your scales tilted. It's you showing favoritism in one place and coldness in another. And now the place that you favored it is your yoke that's running you into the ground. And it's karma for the coldness on the other side. So yeah, she's stuck. Somebody's in jail. I feel like with the Justice card and the Eight of Swords appearing in the same spread, somebody's in jail. But again, she could be wanting to call the police on somebody for stealing some property, because this is theft of property. I don't see the Chariot here, so I'm not thinking it's a car. I'm thinking it's a house. Somebody may have played with the deed. Or somebody could be fighting a case. This could be one of her kids fighting a case and having some type of sentence that's too harsh. And her feeling like, okay, there's no way out of this. Like, I don't have the money to maybe fight this for you. Like I said, Nine of Pentacles represents kind of like a financial issue. So it may be her not being able to hire the proper attorney, and her not being able to help the situation as she maybe normally would have. Again, karma for the person that's draining her. Now the well has run dry. You know what I mean? But if she's smart, she'll take this as her release from the situation, because it's giving me you ain't got no choice but to let go and let God, because you don't have it. She doesn't have it right now to help the situation like she may have had it in the past. I'll put it that way. Or this may be an issue that money cannot solve, and she don't have the money anyway, not like she used to. So yeah, I definitely feel like somebody's in jail. For surely. What is this we have here? It has to be one of the kids. Well, I don't want to say it has to be. I'm just saying one of the kids because it's a page involved. But again, with so many contract issues here regarding real estate, that page can also represent you being stuck in a contract or stuck paying for something or stuck with some type of loss that you took because you refused to read your contract. You know what I mean? Yeah, and it resulted in a particular loss for you, for surely. Now, like I said, the reading is closing out with that Queen of Swords. I kind of talked about her earlier, but this is just representing to me an overall attitude of cutting through to the bullshit and seeing and making people confess and tell the truth about what happened. Because this all seemed to happen under her nose. And if I had to put money on it, I would say that it had something to do with Chris and Martell. Now, the issue of somebody being in jail or somebody being arrested, again, that's a side issue. That's in the external environment. That's something that she may be dealing with, but it's not her exact situation. What's exact situation is this property theft or loss that's crowning the energy. And with that devil card clarifying that Nine of Pentacles in reverse, this is somebody who did something knowing they had bad intentions for her, knowing that they were getting her to get involved with something or sign something with no good intentions. But again, this is somebody who needed to become more learned. With this Queen of Swords, like I said, Nell may have relied on experiences, previous losses, and things like that to teach her how to do things, but she never had any learning about how to do business. Now, again, that Queen of Swords and that Page of Pentacles is about you having the intuition and the nerve to see through some shit and call it out, but you also needing to gather the facts and the information. You know what I mean? And not just be going on a hunch, not just be having these hard brim-nosed conversations where people just, blurt things out to you. But no, you being able to say, no, this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened. Because somebody got over. And I don't feel like she has the tools or the information to be able to call them out exactly. And I think that that's why the tarot is cautioning her, get your shit together. You know how they say, you know how I say, if you don't have all the details, don't confront your man about something. Let them cheat in peace, because you don't have the answers and you're not going to do something about it. This to me is saying get all the answers, so that, because this Queen of Swords, she's getting ready to draw down, but you gotta know what you're talking about, or the person who is tugging on your heartstrings in the first place that you tend to yield to, because she got a soft spot for somebody. They're just gonna get over on you again. Nell be getting sidetracked. She be getting sidetracked. She be losing track of the details with that Ace of Wands in reverse. And it's a lot of shit that she don't understand, like I said, or don't pay attention to. And she's the perfect lick as far as maybe her friends or family are concerned. If this does have to do with Martell, it's Martell. If it's Martell, it's Martell and Chris, or it's either one of the kids. For sure. Nell needs to exercise wisdom. That Ace of Swords is saying that you need to exercise wisdom. You can be the head of the family, but you're not to say she's not intelligent, but she's not learned enough. You know what I mean? And so that leads to destruction in a way. And that Devil card can also lead to self-destruction. And so can the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. It's about somebody kind of like, being at their wits' end. And, I don't want to say wanting to hurt themselves, but subconsciously self-destructing. But again, it's because her energy is all over the place, because she doesn't know things. She just has a strong will and personality. You know what I mean? And it's not a fake it till you make it, but it's like somebody who it's like a mascot. Like, she has the business demeanor. She has the nerve. She has the gumption. She has the fire. She has but she does not have the learning. And that just complicates things. And like I said, it ends up that all people need to learn how to do is talk to you in a certain way, and they can get over on you. Yeah. There's people around her that are sabotaging her, like I said, getting over and playing off of her blind spots. Yeah, that's what I got. Anyways, listen, I don't know how this fares with what's going on the show, but maybe you guys could let me know down in the comments what you think of this reading. As usual, please like this video. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel as usual. Turn your notification bells on so that you're aware of when I post. And if you get a chance, go down to the Inner Alchemist at Etsy, where you can find all of my handmade products. One of them that I'm really, really proud of right now is my Soft Souls Moisturizing Foot Balm. I actually came across that trying to help my sister with her dry feet. And I use lavender and rosemary and peppermint, real therapeutic grade essential oils. And then I have a 9-compound moisturizing oils along with mango butter, shea butter, jojoba, cocoa butter. All of those mixed together in a balm that helps to seal in moisture. I don't know about you guys, but as it's getting cold, my skin has been extremely dry. And Soft Souls works well because you put it on your feet at night. Wrap them up in socks, and it breaks down all of that rough and dry skin, and listen, leaves your feet feeling so soft. So go check me out. I have posted those links on the Inner Alchemist so that you can find all of my products in one place. So I appreciate you guys watching this video, and I will see you guys on the next one.